Good evening, everyone. This is Lisa Berkey, the Director of Benchmark Programs at MBA Research and Curriculum Center. Thank you so much for attending this webinar, High School of Business by the Numbers. I think that we have a really important story to tell in business and marketing education, and it's probably a story that you know all too well about the importance of our profession, the importance of teaching students accelerated business administration skills and the benefits that that can yield. You as teachers know firsthand exactly what that looks like when you see what your students are able to accomplish after they go through higher level high school programs. They're many steps ahead of their peers when they go into college and then into the workforce. I think the issue is, and this is widespread across the country, is that we don't shout that loud enough. Our message isn't getting out there as strongly as it should about the importance of business and marketing education. And so that's really what the focus of this webinar is about this evening. It's about our efforts here at MBA Research to do the best we can to partner with you, support you, and shout with you the importance of this profession. And so what I have done, along with my coworkers, is to pull together quite a lot of numbers that prove the point. And so what we're going to be doing during this webinar is, first I'll be sharing those numbers in a story format. All right, so just sit back and listen for the first part here about a way in which I think might be valuable for you to think about business administration education and how you can turn that into a really a conversation topic, basically, with the powers that be at your school, at your district, and at your state. And then after we've gone through the numbers that appear within this story, then I have for you a data sheet. So that data sheet, which is going to be emailed to you immediately after the web conference is over, is going to be all of the numbers that you see throughout this presentation. So don't worry about writing these down. You're getting all of them. And it's also going to have some blank spaces in there. And that's for local data that we believe is really important. And I hope that fill-in-the-blank type of format is going to be really helpful for you to give you a good starting point on understanding what type of data you can be looking for to prove the case at the local level, as well as all the national data that we can provide. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with the story of business administration education. All right, these are your students at your school. You see them every day. There are many of them roaming through the hall. About this many of them, or 66% on average, are going to go on to college. So quite a large group from your high school. Of those, about 13% are going to know right going into college that they're interested in business. And when I say business, I mean business administration, which is a term that's used really in the college mentality, meaning marketing, finance, management, all of those different majors that in a college setting fall underneath the title of business administration. One of these students who goes off to college from your high school and is named Mike. This is Mike. He went to college to major in business. He was excited to go. He took the right college prep courses in high school, but when his college classes started, he immediately felt behind. He was hearing business terminology for the first time, and it seemed like the others in the class already knew some stuff about business. Mike was right. Some of the students in his class did know stuff. One of them was Janie. Janie had taken a whole series of business courses in high school. She earned college credit for them. She worked on team projects in these high school courses, so it was natural for her to become the leader of the group projects that the professor assigned. She confidently delivered presentations in front of the class because she'd given over 20 public business presentations in high school. Mike saw Janie hit the ground running in college while he was barely crawling. It made him sad. Then it made him mad. He confronted Janie. Mike's school didn't offer many business classes, and it definitely didn't offer high school of business. Unfortunately, Mike's story isn't unique. If your school isn't offering a Challenge Business Administration program for your college-bound students, then your school is in danger of producing a lot of Mikes who feel underprepared in college. The numbers tell this story. Recall that 13% of incoming college freshmen declare a business major. We know that more bachelor's degrees are conferred in the areas of business administration than in any other major. We know that the third most popular associate's degree is in the area of business administration. So it's very possible that the number of students that are headed for business in your school is well above that 13% of freshmen who actually declare it as a college major. It's a large group. Now, let's talk a little bit about jobs and business administration jobs. When we take a look at where the jobs are going to be, this survey asked human resources professionals what majors they most frequently look for when they're out recruiting for jobs. Business, you can tell, was by far the largest. This is a career builder survey from last year. In fact, last year there were 21 million job openings in the area of business. So obviously it's a very big field. Probably not real new information for you. I get that, especially when you think about how every company, no matter what their focus, needs to have smart business people working there. But let's put this in a little bit different of a context, and one that I think will strike a chord as we think about education and what our hot buttons are today. STEM. All right, so science, technology, engineering, and math. If we take a look at jobs last year in STEM, they were 3 million versus 21.2 million in business. So just wrap your head around that for a second. STEM certainly very important field, and we understand there is a need for U.S. to produce and help students become smart in those different STEM areas. But hey, there's an awfully big requirement for smart business people too. Looking a little closer at those STEM numbers. Now we often hear about the huge demand for STEM professionals that's out there. But one number that is interesting that for you to think a little bit about is this growth in jobs. So this is between 2014 and 2024. The demand, or the number of STEM occupations in the U.S., you can see, is predicted to grow at a faster pace than it is for those in business administration. But when you look at how those numbers translate in terms of jobs, the story is a little bit different. Yes, STEM is growing at a faster rate, but the number of jobs in business far outpace it. And that holds true as well when you take a look at projected employment numbers in the year 2024. So we're basically talking about an area, a professional area, that is 5 times larger than STEM is the area that you're working within right now. Now, I don't want to come across as picking on STEM because, as I said before, we know that these are very important jobs for the U.S. But can't we just get along? I think we do need to play fair as we consider the millions of other students that are headed for vital jobs outside of those STEM fields. All right, so back to our story. Remember Mike and Janie? Now, Janie obviously went through High School of Business, and so let's talk a little bit about that specific program designed for college-bound business administration students. High School of Business has been around for about 10 years, and so the program is at the point where we're able to collect data on our graduates. In fact, MBA research tracks every high school student through their college career, as long as the students have given us the information to do so. And so here's what we are able to take a look at. And that really help explain some of the post-program outcomes for these students. So the top line here is High School of Business, and we're talking about post-secondary enrollment rates of a number that's really important right now in the world of education. So here's the national average. 68%, 69% of students going on to college. So this means enrolling in post-secondary education, either 2-year or 4-year, within 6 months of high school graduation. Here's our High School of Business numbers over the last 4 years. All right, so you can see that students that go through this program are attending college at a much higher rate. Another important number is persistence. So as it says here in the box, persistence measures enrollment of a single student in their second year of post-secondary education. So basically, we want to know that those students who start college are actually continuing on into their sophomore year. And here again, the numbers are telling us a pretty good story. And I think that that may have a little something to do with the preparation that they receive as part of High School of Business, in combination with the preparation that they're receiving in their college prep courses in their high school. Speaking of college, we know that on average, students across the country are entering college with an average of 8 college credits, some entering with as many as 22, all of those which are a direct result of being in the High School of Business program. When we ask our High School of Business alumni how they feel about the program, we hear some pretty powerful numbers as well. So 93% believe when they graduate, they believe that their participation in High School of Business will lead to their success in a career. The same holds true in college, and here's a quote from a High School of Business alumni. Sort of the inspiration behind the story that we heard at the beginning of this webinar. The number is 92% here that feel the same as Josh, that High School of Business helped them to succeed in college. Math and English language arts, another hot term in education, as you know. So this is a great piece of information that we can share with administrators. The 21st century skills in particular, the teamwork, the higher level thinking, the working through projects, the frequent presentations that students give, the oral presentations, the written work, all of that leads to success in math and English language art courses and those subjects. All right, so let's take a look at high schools, right? So that's what we learned from talking with students of the program. Here's what schools are saying. It's always nice to say 100%, and we're building business relationships within the community, and that makes sense, right? Business professionals are serving on steering teams, they're coming into classrooms, they're meeting with students at lunch, like is the case right here with this group, where the students are getting some extra help on delivering great presentations. All of those interactions with the local business community build strong relationships that schools can benefit from. Ditto with colleges and universities. So people from these organizations, faculty as well as administrators, they participate in the High School of Business steering teams. And so they get to know the program. They get to know the school administrators and faculty. They get to know the students. And so it's natural that the relationships there are going to be built. Those often lead to college credit, scholarships, field trips to the university, and other perks that benefit your students. I think you'll agree with me that business administration programs like High School of Business should be a priority in U.S. high schools. The numbers are clear, and the voices that are sharing them need to be louder and stronger. And that's where we come together in this. If we work together, we share the numbers, we partner on this, we preach it loud and clear and smart, I think we have an opportunity to change how our programs are viewed in many schools, and rightly so. I mean, we're not making stuff up here. We're proving a case that we have an opportunity to serve a huge number of students that are frequently overlooked in high schools. All right, so at the beginning of this presentation, I talked about how we're going to take a look at a tool that can help you do exactly this. So I'm going to switch over to that right now. All right. This is the data sheet that lists all of those numbers plus more. Really, I have other things in there interesting. Any numbers that we have compiled about High School of Business basically is on this sheet because I want you to know about it and to be able to share it with your administrators and with your community. So you can choose from which of these are most powerful at your school. But they're all available to you on this sheet. So I think it's interesting. We know what the average ACT score is. Lots of good stuff there. All right, so that's the information that you just saw about High School of Business. This section right here is the information that I shared about business program or the size of the market for students that are interested in business. So you've got your majors, college majors, you have your degrees conferred, jobs sought after, STEM jobs related to business jobs, all those things that help you tell your story. All right, and then right here is what we're going to talk about right now. Local data for your program. Okay, so some numbers that are important for you, and we didn't just pull these out of thin air, just so you have a little bit of background on this. All of these numbers are based on significant amount of research that we did and are actually part of our self-study that's used with High School of Business and also with the MBA accreditation program. All right, so these are benchmark best practices, numbers that every business teacher needs to know about his or her students so that you can help to tell the story of the positive contribution that your program is making. All right, so percent of students with positive placement, percent of students meeting minimal state proficiency levels in English language arts, math, and technical skill assessments. Here we have the total number of college credits earned or that students had the opportunity to earn. Partnering colleges where the students obtain opportunities to earn college credit, so that there you would just list the different colleges. And then one more here that's really important, and that's economic development data for your local area. All right, so oftentimes at the state level, a lot of what drives funding in states has to do with the economic needs of your state and of your area. And so it's really important that you understand what that is for your state and your area, and then how your program benefits that. So for instance, if you're taking a look at that in the state of Ohio right now, one of the hot button economic development areas that relate to business are financial services. That sector is growing and that sector is in need of more employees. So that's the focus in Ohio that I would take, regarding the importance of business administration programs in your schools and how you can help meet that need for great employees in that particular area. All right, so here's what I think this appendix I think is going to be really helpful for you. So if some of those data that I just now put up there, you're not quite sure how to calculate those, that's what Appendix 1 does. All right, so it's literally just a set of tables that point you in the right direction of calculating those stats, all right? So the number of students completing the program, the number who status is known the year after they graduate, and then here you get the percent of status known. Then similar down here with positive placements, and you've got a definition there of what positive placement means. That one probably is pretty common in what your states are asking you to collect. Maybe all of these are, but each state is different, so I wanted to be sure and share some of these important data. Even if they aren't what your particular state is asking for, they still tell a really strong story about your program. All right, here's the calculation for proficiency in English language arts. So again, here we're talking about your minimum state level. Every state sets this proficiency level differently. So you need to know what your proficiency level is in ELA and how many of your students met that. So that will help tell the story of how the program possibly has a correlation with success in those areas. Ditto with math. Here you have technical skill assessment. College credit opportunities. Now, this is a great number to throw around because it's probably pretty large. When you talk about the credit that your students have earned, we're talking about the number of students times the number of credits, and here's the total credits that those students had the opportunity to earn. All right. And then another number here that I didn't list on the form above because it's applicable in some places and not in others is industry credential attainment. All right, so if that's an important endeavor in your state, then you can put that information here as well. It's certainly going to be data that your state is going to want to collect. All right, so you have done a nice job of letting me talk now for for a while, I want to open up to questions that you have about using data and sharing data. I'm also interested in, of course, any ideas for that you have for how MBA research can help you share that data. Go ahead and use the chat box to type in any questions that you have. Okay, there's a question about industry credentials for HSB grads. You know, that's a great question, and it's not a straightforward answer, as it is with some areas like food service and ag. MBA research has the ASK exams, and some states have designated those as acceptable for meeting any industry credential requirements that your state might have. And so you could use that if you want to as an end of program exam if that works in your state. Even though High School of Business does not focus on computer apps, there are some schools that team the program that have their students take the Microsoft credentials test as an end of program. Maybe they've added a course onto the High School of Business sequence in that area so that they can do so. One interesting thing that I learned recently about those industry credential requirements, especially in regard to the Perkins grant, at the federal level, it's actually not a requirement that your students have an industry credential. Now, that doesn't mean that some states haven't instituted that, but what we've found is that it's a common misperception that the federal Perkins legislation is requiring those industry credentials. It's not. So if you have concerns about credentials, then I'd take a look at that first and see if it truly is a requirement in your state or not. The language in Perkins talks about a continuous path of instruction that leads to college as one way that students can obtain a credential. So that it'll often say a recognized industry credential or a post-secondary degree. That's really where High School of Business fits. This program is designed with the thought that the students are going to continue on into college. There's a seamless transition from high school into college with a degree at the end of that. That's the end result for these students. All right, other questions? All right. Well, you are certainly welcome to email me anytime you have questions or further thoughts on this topic. Just so you know that this webinar is really the start of a push that we're going to be doing here at MBA Research to get this data better known in the broader market. I'm taking a look here at the chat box. Yeah, Rebecca, your comment. I think, yeah, you're in Missouri. The ask is a certification exam. How do we generate awareness with the colleges? I don't know how to answer that. To to be honest, I mean, I think that like the data, it's a joint effort. We've got to work together to educate post-secondary on what these exams are. And so I think that if I were you, I would start with the people who are on your steering team and any connections that you currently have with colleges and universities in your area, and give them information about Ask. And I think that's simply a matter of telling them about it, that it exists, and pointing them to our website. And then from that point, you can direct them to they can contact, use the website to contact and ask questions about Ask directly. All right, Yvette is asking about getting these numbers to the community, convincing the audience that HSB can be for any student. All right, so that's really two different types of questions. The first one, getting the numbers to the community. So I think that we start repeating them loud and clear, and I can answer that best by thinking about what we're going to do, because I think that you can do the same. I'm going to start using social media a lot more frequently and a lot more intelligently to use targeted social media to get the word out. So we're going to be sharing these numbers frequently using social media with a broader audience. And when we do that, as long as you have liked us on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, you can then tag your school on that information, so they begin to see, and I would encourage you to write a little blurb about that. So if we post something out there about the college enrollment rate nationwide of High School of Business students, you take that and you repost it with a one-liner of Leipzig High School students are at BG, Ohio State, blah, 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 and excelling in business because of HSB, something like that, so that we can keep getting these numbers into their faces. I think that especially in smaller towns, the business community groups continue to be, whether it's Rotary or Chamber of Commerce, Mayor's Office, whatever it is, your students are probably already speaking there. Here's something else that they can use to share with those groups in the business community. Then you're going to ask them to share them further. School board is a great place to share data like this. I mean, the school board is know what your school board's goals are, first of all, and then tailor what you tell them to those goals. I suspect that most schools' goal is positive placements of students, college going rate, persistence in college, because that shows that the student didn't just get into college, but was prepared to be there and ready to excel. All of those things are going to be hot button numbers for school boards and school administrators. These types of numbers, especially given in short, maybe one at a time fashion great tools for any of your school's communications. So if you send out a school newsletter, if you do press releases to the local paper, where your local paper is always looking for things to run about the schools, these numbers really tell a story. Your question about convincing the audience that HSB can be for any student. Now that goes beyond. I mean, I think part of what this data shows can prove that. I mean, it shows, first of all, the huge numbers of students that are headed for associate's degrees and for bachelor's degrees within the communities. So that's certainly a larger group. You're really, I think, looking more for data that shows that things like project-based learning embraces students with lots of different types of learning styles. There's research out there about that. There's also data about teamwork. Teamwork is basically that same project-based learning type of thing where different people in the group have an opportunity to share their strengths. So if you're not the best writer, then you might work on the art side of the project. That includes everyone. Something that recently has come to my attention that one of the other schools is doing that maybe fits in here is using that pretest data. So if your students are taking the pretest, what you're going to be able to see before the class even starts is where their, in particular, weakest areas are. And then you can use that to focus your instruction. So this particular teacher was telling me, she looks at the aggregate class pretest data, and she finds the weakest instructional area, and that's the one that she's going to add the most lab or module content into her planning as she goes along. So if she knows that they're struggling in economics, for instance, then as they work on their project, she's going to assign more of the labs that are in the economic area to those students, because the labs are very clear, right? Here's what you read, here's what you answer, that sort of thing. You don't want to use labs all the time because they can get boring for sure. So that tells her exactly where to use more of those. I hope I'm helping you here somewhat. Okay, the 77% number, that includes that doesn't include the national agreements, because obviously that would be 100%, because really any student can take advantage of those. That includes all schools who reported that they had at least one local college credit option in place for their students. Might be a 2-year college or a 4-year. I recently just sent, you asked which schools. I recently just sent out a whole packet of information on post-secondary partners, and that went to the primary contact at each school. It was a black folder. Anyway, even if you weren't the person who received that at your school, I can still, that same chart that I'm going to speak about here is available on the wiki as well, and that's going to have a list, the latest list on all of the post-secondary partners, both the national partners and the local partners. And in fact, tomorrow, Stephanie and I are working on putting out some publicity around our college partners, and that's going to include a link to that chart that's on the website. That will make it easier for you to share with people who, with anyone you want to, because of course the wiki is private to HSB teachers. we're going to link it on our website so that it can be accessible to anyone as well. All right, what else? Good questions. We got to keep asking these tough questions of each other so we can keep building the case. I mean, I'm excited about these numbers here. I think that they paint a really good story, and my vision for this particular document is that we keep adding to it, right? I mean, of course, all these numbers get updated every year, but we're going to add rows too as we learn more about what's important, what are important numbers to be able to best tell our story. Yeah, social media. Yes, I would definitely like to do that. I'm actually taking a class, it's not even through my job here. I just wanted to learn more about social media and how companies are using it in a smart way, because I'm just intrigued by the fact that we can market for free, right? How awesome is that for a nonprofit organization? But the systems are so complex that we have to understand them well to be able to target and use our time efficiently for using all of those great free tools. So I'm actually still on the kind of the beginning of the learning curve for that, but it is something that we're working on here. So as we learn more here, I will post it there, but there are probably people, I'm going to go ahead and figure out where the best place to put social media ideas is on the wiki, because I know that there are teachers out there who are better at social media right now than I am. I could think of a couple off the top of my head that use it all the time. And so that's a great idea, Yvette. All right, what else? Great. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about, Rebecca. It sounds like you're ahead of me too. Yeah, tag those other groups, because what that does is makes all of the people who are following them see your post. Another really cool thing it does is if you consistently use social media and consistently share valuable information, you become what's known as an influencer. And then people start to look to you for information about certain topics. So it's a good place to be, a good position to be in, and that can happen pretty quickly with social media. Hashtagging, to the best of my knowledge, is not only on Twitter. A hashtag is a way of searching, so that when people type in something to the search engine, like if they typed in High School of Business and that was a something that people had been hashtagging, then that would pop up in the search engines. I better quit talking because I haven't completed this class yet. I might be saying more than I know. Oh, yay. Rebecca backed me up on that. Hashtagging is for all social media. All right. Yeah, there's lots to learn. It can be overwhelming, and that's in the social media world, and that's why I realized I've got to take a class and find out what's really important to know, um, because it's moving too fast for me to learn everything. I have to focus in on the ones that are most important for our cause. Rebecca, it sounds like you're a lot farther down the path than Yvette and I are on social media. All right, good. Great. Then that's enough. Once I get that on the wiki, uh, you can be our first poster. I love the term curator in social media, because that means that we don't necessarily have to be constantly writing new content. But if we're a curator who reads, and then points the most important things out to others by sharing them that we've read, then that's a valuable spot to be in too. And so think about curating as well, especially if we all share, if we're all doing a little bit of social media and following each other, then we can just share what each other has written. All right. Any other questions? Well, I hope that this has been helpful. I do feel really strongly that that data-backed uh, statements is the route that we need to go, to share our strong message about, not just about High School of Business specifically, but about business and marketing education and the importance of it. Thank you for joining me, and I will get that document out to you that's on the screen right away, so that you can start sharing those numbers. Thanks everyone, and have a good evening. Bye-bye.